wait. Oh, no. Just kidding. What's going on, Forge Nation? I'm with Rich at Magnaflow. We got Kronos up. We have a Sawzall right there about to cut into that stock exhaust. And thank you so much for having us here. We're excited to see and hear the difference that it makes. But
Kronos is one of those projects that I've been kind of watching as you guys have been putting parts on here. And there's been one thing that's been missing, which is you guys got fantastic video out there with it rolling, but you can't hear it.
Nope.
So we're gonna hopefully do something to fix that today.
If you guys remember with Apollo, our Bronco, we had Magnaflow Exhaust on it, and it just was a completely different vehicle, fun to drive. You really have that awesome driving experience and just more efficient airflow. There's so many benefits of having an aftermarket exhaust, especially something of the caliber of Magnaflow. So we're excited to be here. I want to first start off with what are we going to put on it? What are the different options you have? And then we'll go from there. But I'm excited. Stay tuned as we install brand new exhaust on Kronos. I just like shiny things. All right, so for starters, we have our stock exhaust here. That is, obviously doesn't look that great, very quiet. What kind of exhaust are we gonna run in the back of Kronos here?
So everything we're gonna do is around kind of improving what we have for performance. You can see this is not quite a mandrel bent. There's a little bit of constriction here in the pipe. So it's a 2.5 that has a crush bend in it. We're gonna go to a complete mandrel bend, so that's a nice smooth diameter all the way through, but it's also a 3-inch exhaust. Nice. This motor on this truck can actually breathe a little bit better, given a better flowing exhaust system. So we're getting rid of the 2 mufflers, going to one big body, 5x11x22 with a 3-inch core. That'll be located all the way up front. So it's another cool thing is it frees up all this space.
Yeah.
So again, the more mods you do, whether you want to mount a compressor up here or do other things, it frees up some of that space. But the last part here is really what we're trying to get rid of is like they have this big ugly muffler that's here, and the best they can do is just paint it black to try to make it disappear. We're going to make sure that we finish it with something that's obviously going to be a little bit better. So
nice. And the tips are going to come out right all the way to the back, giving you that aggressive look. Everyone's going to know you're coming. It's sweet.
Yeah, we always got a couple of options. So, you know, if you want something that's stealth even more so than this, we actually raise it up for our rock crawler series. Completely hides that underneath. We have a single side exit if you want to have something that's a little bit out the side that doesn't have that presence out the back. But man, Kronos is so big, I think that those 5-inch round double wall black tips are really going to set it off.
Awesome. From what I understand, how you guys design all of your systems, it is acceptable for someone to do it on their own.
Correct.
They have some mechanic abilities and a couple jack lifts.
Yep.
But if you take it to a shop, how quick is it? How much does it normally cost to install?
So our systems are designed around being able to keep it on its ground height for all the trucks and Jeeps out there and take out the stock exhaust. And really the hardest part that we'll go through, and here we'll actually demonstrate, Nick will probably pull it out the same way, is we Sawzall the stock exhaust off right after over the axle component so that it'll drop straight down. That's really the only part that takes any kind of a specialty tool, and that's a Sawzall. Otherwise, it unbolts from factory. And even on your own, it'll probably take you about a half hour, 45 minutes in your driveway. But if you go to a shop that has a lift like this, they're in and out in 15 minutes. It's slam dunk.
That's awesome. So you could, the school bell went off right in the middle of that. You could either chop it up right here. The secondary market on stock exhaust is negligible, right?
Correct.
Most people
pretty
toss
disposable.
them, recycle them. Yeah. So in which case, chop it off, install the new one, and you're looking at a couple hours in your garage or 15, 20 minutes in a shop, give or take.
And ultimately, the part about that is if you do want to save your part and take the time, all you've got to do is droop the rear end, which again, on these trucks that are so big, getting something that can lift the truck high enough to droop the axle to feed it through is about the only thing that really is an issue if you want to keep it intact. Otherwise, this is a bolt off and bolt on type of installation.
Awesome. Love that. Love how it's easy. Love how you can do it on your own, but we're here with the experts. So let's let Nick get to work and go from there.
Cool.
All right, so we got all 3 options laid out here and the stock exhaust right out the gate. The first thing I see is the diameter of this pipe versus the 3-inch.
Right.
is going to just open up that airflow.
Right.
Let it breathe.
And the muffler itself too, don't forget the fact that all of our stuff is in fact straight through, so you're not talking any restriction on top of that. So that adds to the effect of reducing that back pressure, letting that motor breathe freely.
Oh yeah, well right here, this is the stock exhaust that we just pulled out. This is the Rock Crawler series.
Yep.
And you could tell right away that the pipe is super low profile. This is going to be up to the carriage of your Jeep Gladiator as close as possible to increase that clearance.
And if you take a look at the hangers, it just gives you an idea of how high profile it is.
Yeah.
Look at how much lower that muffler in the rear sits underneath that hanger. Yeah. And here we're just about the pipe diameter. So we're lifting the actual exit point by almost 3 inches. So there's nothing now. If you're looking for the highest profile under a smaller tire Jeep, that's going to give you the best possible clearance out the back of the vehicle.
That's great. I think that is awesome if you are doing heavy duty rock crawling with your Gladiator. For us in this rig, it's much more of an overlander vehicle, so that's not going to work for us. But next, this is another option.
Yep.
So which one is this?
So this is our Street Series, and it's a single side exit. So here we've gone to a 3-inch diameter, which is a nice improvement for overall flow as well from the 2.5. Again, this was all about maintaining maximum torque and maximum clearance. Here we were a little bit more interested in the horsepower, so we went a little bit more flow. Having a little bit more diameter is going to allow that horsepower to flow better at peak RPM.
Yeah.
Rock crawlers, we're not always at 9,000, or I should say, what, 65 or 62 that this thing is at. But we're down in those low RPMs. Here, we're utilizing more of the RPM range. We're driving further, whether it's overland or on the street. We're cruising freeways. You're going to see a little bit more benefit from the larger diameter tube. And we have a finished tip. So you got a little style added into it.
Yeah.
But there are some limitations. Kronos is on 40s.
He's a big boy.
Those tires, this is made to exit right underneath the factory plastic fender flare, which is actually sticks out quite a bit. So this tip would not only stick out from this build with the narrow fenders, but it actually would intrude upon the tire area for that larger tire. 33s, 35s, 37s, no problem. You hit that 40 mark, you got a lot of tire under there.
But you're never going to get rid of those 40s, right?
Well,
that's the whole point of getting them. That's where this comes in.
Exactly. Basically, you'll notice the pipe all the way up to the hanger on most of these systems is identical.
Yeah.
We use the same style muffler for noise control, getting rid of that drone that we don't want. But here's where we add the style aspect. Kronos is all about that presence and being big. We've got dual double wall 4-inch tips that exit under that bumper. And the black and the gray, I think it's a natural fit.
Yeah. And you can see the stock. So this is just some paint. Little paint on it to black it out. What do we got going on the tips of these guys?
So we've got a high temperature powder coat that goes on here. And as you can see, we've coated the pipe all the way to the tip. Yeah. So they did a little bit of hiding, but they left the piping alone. Here we wanted to make sure that if we're gonna blend the thing, everything you see behind this high point down is gonna look like an entirely blacked out system. So
that's awesome. So sound differences between all 3 of these are gonna be
pretty close to the same, yes. The 2.5-inch versus the 3-inch will be a hair quieter on the cabin. Tailpipe sound is about the same. But ultimately, you can see there are 24-inch long muffler on all of them, straight through design. So sound-wise, not a big difference. But I will say where the sound comes out affects how it sounds when it's leaving. Obviously, this is pointed out on the on the driver's side behind you. So when you're on the passenger side, you don't hear much. This, anytime it passes you, when Kronos goes full speed by, everybody on either side is going to hear the same effect. It's just got a lot more presence.
Let them know. Let them know you're coming. That's great. So now horsepower, performance, what are we talking about? Gains, there's a more just general drivability. What do you typically see with these systems?
So when we design an exhaust system for today's late model, especially smaller displacement motors, it's about working with the calibration systems. Mopar cars especially, you're looking at the fact they're speed density, not a mass air system. So when the density of the air that comes through changes quickly, the mass air systems tend to be able to regulate that and allow you to have some degree of change. With a speed density system, it's working on the MAP sensor, which you don't get those changes because it's measured inside the manifold after all the heating effects take place. So it's a very stable tune, but it's not as easy to see when stuff changes. So when we make a back pressure change like we do, we want to make sure that it works within those parameters of the computer so we're not causing issues with overfueling and losing fuel economy, because the whole purpose of this is better engine efficiency, which equals horsepower, but it also equals economy if you can keep your foot out of it from listening to that wonderful sound we make. And that's always the trade-off, obviously, between performance and sound is if you're making performance, you're making the engine more efficient, which means you're getting better MPGs, but if you like the way it sounds, those MPGs go as soon as the pedal goes to the floor.
Absolutely, and there's so many things that are trade-offs with all of these vehicles, from the size of your tire, the re-gearing. We put 513s on it. If we wanted more torque, go to 538. Fuel efficiency goes down. It's always that balance, but we've tuned this in to be an overlander rig with everything on it. So I think this is going to be the perfect setup for Kronos.
Agreed, agreed. You're not sacrificing anything on the performance side, but I think it just has that style element that's so important to kind of keep up with on that build.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below if this is the perfect exhaust for Kronos. And I think it's time to put it on.
I think so.
Without further ado, let's do it. All right, exhaust is on. I could see it already. The Street Series Black dual exhaust by Magnaflow is now on Kronos. It looks so good. Oh man.
You can see those little details on kind of why we coated all the way up. It's exposed. And with Kronos being as big as it is, it's definitely showing off everything on the bottom.
So normally there's a spare tire right here with the heat shield, and they've already thought of that. So if you do have a Gladiator that's stock or on 35s and still have a spare tire right here, that would go around it, which is awesome. But you notice the little details. All of this is blacked out because you could see it. It's a 4.5-inch lift on Kronos. So you're gonna be able to see that from mostly any angle, which is awesome. Super clean, works really well, pretty low profile, and the last thing that we need to do is see how it sounds.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, so first impressions. You can definitely hear it when the windows are up though. What's great, because you don't always want that like really loud driving experience. What I like about Magnaflow is the cab is still relatively quiet, but it feels like a stronger vehicle. I'm definitely getting more of a pull, and I think everyone around you is definitely gonna hear you coming. It's a loud exhaust, but it's not overly loud, and it's really good tones. I don't like the exhaust that's just crazy in your face. This sounds really good. But let's see how it sounds on the street. Rich, it looks good, it sounds good. I can't wait to hit the trails with this thing. You guys know the drill. If you want to win Kronos, including that Magnaflow Street Black exhaust, go to forage4x4.com. It ends July 12th, or a couple weeks away. And if you want to get your own exhaust, go to magnaflow.com, direct to consumer. You saw how easy it was to install. You could do it yourself or go to your local installer and they'll be able to put it on within an hour. So this is awesome, dude. I'm stoked on this.
We're gonna let you get out of here. Enjoy it.
I will. Thanks, man.